Hello and welcome to another Combos with Customers. My name is Eric Martin, head of sales here at Vanta. I am joined today by Anne Simpson, privacy, security, and compliance manager at Databook. Anne, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Eric. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, all right. Let's stop the screen share here and let's dive into some questions. I think first things first, let's start with an easy one. Can you tell us a little bit about Databook? What do y'all do?
Yeah, Databook is a strategic enablement solution for account-based sellers. One of our co-founders refers to us as the Bloombergs of sales. And what we do is that we help sales team identify what customers are buying what products and when. It's pretty powerful information.
Huh, that's interesting. In what format do you serve that information up?
We have a platform, a web browser platform.
Interesting. And does that selfishly, as a sales leader, does that integrate with Salesforce?
Actually, it does. We do integrate with both Salesforce and Microsoft.
Okay, interesting. Nice. Very cool. Might have to separately look into that after this call. Um,
Please do.
yeah, and tell me, how long have you been at the business?
I've been at the business since only for about a year, just over a year. We were formed in 2017. We stayed in stealth business for a couple of years. And then in the beginning of last year, we got Series A funding. And that's when they went ahead and made the investment in me and a dedicated privacy and security team, which is pretty powerful. Most startups at that size, I was employee 30 something.
Wow.
And usually, employees, a small startup at that size doesn't, security Series A, they aren't thinking of privacy security as much as Databook does, but we super important to us, and so they formed our team.
Interesting. Were you the first kind of security or privacy hire?
I was, yeah, and now our team is four, so we're growing quite rapidly. So I went from a team of one to four.
Nice.
We're
Amazing.
Yeah, we're a small but powerful team. We do also partner with security champions throughout the organization. And we've grown quite rapidly over this past few years, but we want to keep those security measures in front, and so those security partners really help us.
Nice. Amazing. A lot of our customers today are, cloud-based software companies kind of growing at, hopefully similar rates as you all. And many of the companies we work with, they have yet to hire their first security person. And they ask us kind of like, who should security roll up into? And so to give those folks a data point, I'm curious, like, who does security and compliance roll up to at Databook?
That is a really interesting question that you asked that, because this is always the mystery of where we do roll up to. It is within a small startup like I work at now, as well as the large enterprise or large tech company I used to work at, Oracle. We tend to move around a lot, and I don't think we've quite in this world figured out where we belong. At Databook, we currently report up into the CFO. Previously reported up into product. As we continue to grow and evolve, I'm sure we'll just grow and evolve with that as well. I typically also see these people report to if you have a VP of security, or maybe, that type of team. So it changes. It could really vary at companies.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, you said your team is four today, broad strokes. How do you divide and conquer the work?
We do it by type of work. And so I do have one individual who covers our audit programs. We're working on our SOC 2 compliance, where we've already secured 1 year. We're in our second year. He also will do all of our other compliance frameworks. I have another individual that will work on the types of vendor management that we need, the due diligence program. Another one, actually, IT falls into me. So another couple that are dedicated to the IT frameworks and all of the computers, keeping those all safe and secure.
Interesting. Is the vendor diligence piece? I know you mentioned earlier that kind of before the call that you're using Vanta to do that to a certain degree. Is that a full-time job for someone at Databook?
It really is. We have quite a few vendors out there, and it's part of our, contractual requirements. A lot of this requirements, a lot of the framework requirements is that you really do need to have a really formal due diligence program where you're auditing those vendors on an annual basis. So this means not only do you, once you get a vendor, you have to determine, do we want to do business with this vendor? We research this vendor, check off the boxes. Okay, we want to do we want to do work with this vendor. Do they have the security requirements that meet the requirements that we and our downstream customers have? And then do they keep those up? So every year we don't just, sign them up and forget about them. We check in on them every year. And we say, do you still have those requirements in place? And do we still want to continue to do this business?
Yeah.
And so it is quite a bit of work on that side.
Interesting. How do you leverage Vanta for that?
So we utilize Vanta. You guys have the vendor page there. So we put all of our vendors in there. We maintain our vendor certifications in there for our vendors. If a vendor does not have a CIRDI certification, which they're out there, we were one of those folks at one time as well. There's a questionnaire within Vanta that we can utilize. So one thing that we really enjoy with Vanta is that there's a lot of templates built into it, a lot of forms, policy templates. So we could utilize what's in Vanta, make it our own, and send it to our customers.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. It's certainly feedback that we hear from a lot of our customers, especially around your size, that kind of doing that vendor diligence can become a bit of a bear.
It really can. And then
Yeah.
also producing evidence for the auditors. When we use Vanta, if I produce a spreadsheet and say I've checked the due diligence for all of these folks over here, auditors will absolutely accept that. But I believe it's so much more powerful when you have a tool that says, look at this tool. It tells me, it actually, I built into the tool cadence that tells me every year, check this vendor certificate. So it's not that I can't forget. I mean, if I do forget, it's because I didn't ignore the test in Vanta. So we know that's not good. So Vanta, constant reminders help out as well.
You mentioned you were at Oracle prior. Were you involved at all in kind of helping them to kind of get or maintain any of their kind of SOC 2 reports?
Yeah, I was actually when I joined. I was at Oracle for quite some time, but I was there when we got GDPR compliance, and so I was involved with that entire program. I was also the sensitive data expert to ensure that the data that we collected adhered to the sensitive data requirements, and that we did collect the defined sensitive data, that we did the additional steps that we did. And then we did have the SOC 2 program where, we did both inbound and outbound questionnaires, because it's such a large corporation.
I realize Oracle's massive.
It is.
Company that I was at. But like at a very high level, how did the way in which you all approached getting and kind of pursuing an annual SOC 2 at Oracle differ from what the team at Databook is doing here using Vanta?
I know that people find this quite surprising, but it was actually more manual at Oracle than it is here because we utilize Vanta, and at Oracle we utilize spreadsheets more. And so I feel like at the small company that I work at now, that we're able to buy these platforms and these that are out there, I feel like I'm producing better evidence for the auditors. So at Oracle, my evidence was, typically a spreadsheet, a written documentation, me attesting to something that was done, producing audit reports and those type of things. But again, the majority of that is in Excel. Excel can be modified, it can be manipulated. And so when you produce something out of a tool where you have a system log into it, it's much trickier. Not that it can't be done, but it's much more trickier to trick a system log than an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. You mentioned earlier that you had a heavy hand in helping Oracle with GDPR. Is Databook pursuing kind of any privacy frameworks in the near future?
We are GDPR compliant, but we are utilizing Vanta to show that GDPR compliance. So, we could all say that we're compliant, but again, we need to show that we are. So we're working through Vanta to demonstrate that compliance. Yeah. We have grown so rapidly that we will be eligible for the CCPA framework, which is really exciting for us. Yes, that is exciting. As you know, that launched in 2020, we had to be adhere to it in 2020 if your company met the requirements. We did not meet those requirements at that time due to our size. But that amazing growth that we spoke about earlier is going to make us eligible by year end. So we've signed up with Vanta for the CCA framework in order to show that. So right now we're working on revamping our policies and our procedures so that we could show our compliance. Nice. And we're utilizing all the frameworks that are the templates that Vanta provides.
Cool. Yeah, like I'm just curious at a company of your size, you have these kind of policy templates that we make available to you, whether you're using the inline editor or downloading those in some other format. What is the process for, like, who's responsible for writing those or crafting those? And then who's responsible for approving those?
So I draft them. So currently I monitor all frameworks that are going on globally. I got to keep an eye on them, and I determine that our company is becoming eligible. Then I work with one of the co-founders, Alex Barrett, to build out the framework. He approves everything that I build to make sure it's all kosher.
Interesting. Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. I'm hoping, though, as we continue to grow, that I will be able to grow my team and be able to pass that work along to a team member of mine.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, we've talked a lot about, you leveraging Vanta from a software and an automation standpoint. Talk to us, like, how have you leveraged Vanta's team of in-house human resources?
Oh yes, that is you guys have a great support team, as well as our account manager. So, we have monthly meetings with our account manager where we give suggestions on the platform, just things that we see that we think might work a little better, and we give those to them. And also whenever we have a glitch in the system, and for instance, one of our employees, we track our employee compliance to the system. One of our employees promised they were doing the security compliance training. We weren't seeing it done. So we connected to your guys' support system, and we were able to look on the back end, and there was just a little connection error, and they were able to fix it. We didn't have to make my employee do that training again. And so you guys are really helpful. The chat has been really useful. Even one time I had submitted something, and then I kind of got bogged down with something else, and you guys followed back up with me to make sure that so the support team followed back up with me to make sure my answer was resolved. Not a lot of companies support teams would do that.
Amazing. Well, shout out to Cam, I believe is your CS.
Cam is. Yes, she's amazing.
Sweet. In terms of kind of providing feedback, this is very important to us to hear from our customers in terms of, what are the kind of things that you think we should build next. So I'll just kind of pass the mic and ask, like, what are some things that you think we should build next?
There's little things in the system that I think would be great. For instance, you guys currently within the tool, I can click within the tool and create a Jira system. We use Jira ticketing for our engineering teams, but I'm not able to connect an existing ticket within there. That's super minor. That I can give that suggestion to Cam, and Cam will submit it. And if there's enough of those, I'll put it on the roadmap. I think some other exciting things that I would be looking for that I'm currently still doing manual is, one thing that you guys actually already released is your risk assessments. That's going to save me a ton. You guys revamped your risk assessment pages. I used to submit those manually to my auditor, again, that manual spreadsheet. Now I can produce evidence out of Vanta, which again, the auditor, it's much more powerful evidence to an auditor. Another thing that is really a lot of work that we do over here is system access audits. We do those on a quarterly basis. That's a manual process now, so that would be wonderful if we could have that built out. And then I think that's really it. Yeah. Maybe some more security questionnaires. I know you guys have that site over there. But security questions are always a pain in our world,
No, I mean, that's a pain in a lot of people's worlds. And I appreciate that. No shortage of good ideas there. I will say, folks listening, we do have two-way task tracker integrations with things like Jira, Asana, Shortcut, et cetera, that allow you to kind of assign tests or controls to folks such that when those tests fail, we will create the tickets where you live. But I think what you're saying here is slightly modified on that. So that's a really good idea. In terms of the questionnaires piece, our latest investment from a partnership standpoint has been with Staxi. So Staxi is another Y Combinator company. They help companies with kind of solving these security questionnaires. We tie in on the back end with them to help kind of auto-populate these questionnaires kind of in whatever format you submit them. So once again, if nothing else, maybe something worth looking into, but I certainly can empathize that is a pain point shared by a lot of our customers. So thanks for sharing that. Well, Anna, I enjoyed this chat. We could probably keep going here for another 30 minutes, but I'm curious, any kind of final words for us?
I just really want to close out with, reiterating, Vanta does really give us a peace of mind. My CEOs have actually told me that they could sleep better at night now that, they've hired me and that we have Vanta in place. And I think those are powerful words, to say that a CEO sleeps better at night because you and I are able to do our jobs because of the Vanta platform, I think says a lot.
Amazing. Well, Anne, thanks again so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed this chat. And thanks again for being a Vanta customer. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. It was wonderful talking to you as well, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.